What's up, guys? The Last Spray. Today I'm going to be doing a quick little review on my buddy Right Vibes video. It's going to be a Last of Us 2 spoiler review, story analysis. I'm just going to take a quick look at it. I've been waiting on this video for a few weeks. I'm going to link this video and my boys' sub box in the description. But I want to get right into this because I am super excited to see this story breakdown. Can't wait. This is going to be a long one too. This is probably going to be 25-30 minutes. So, some new type of content for the channel, you know. See what's happening.
What's up, guys? It's Right Vibes here, back with another Last of Us Part 2 video. And in today's video, I'll be going deep into the storyline of Last of Us Part 2. The characters, the motivations, things that are symbolized by other things, and if the sequel was overall truly necessary. For those of you that haven't played the game yet, I would highly suggest that you click off right now, because there are loads of spoilers in this video, including the ending, major plot points, and everything like that. But if you've played it, then...
As many of you know, there's people subscribe to this channel that I've been highly critical of this game. That's why I'm making this. And, you know, I'm kind of the yin to the yang with Ripe's Vibes here, as he really enjoys the game and thought a part 2 was necessary, and more where I'm on the side where I didn't really think a part 2 was necessary. And if it was, you know, the story that they were telling in part 2, it should have been in a different way. It should have been more chronological, not just all over the place.
or you don't really care about spoilers, then we can proceed. So grab your popcorn and drinks, because this is going to be a long one. And I recently made a review, but it came out to be like 1 hour long, so I redid it in this video. So I would appreciate it if you guys smash that like button and
Smash that like button. Hit
Without
that like
further
button.
ado, let's
Link in
get
the
on with it.
description.
Hey, please just get on with it. Here. Let's get on with it.
I do like that part with Bill right there. I do like that take. That was cool.
The story of The Last of Us Part 2 kicks off just like you would expect it to. Joel and Ellie arrive at Jackson, Wyoming, and live peacefully for 5 years in a striving community, in a post-apocalyptic world where things aren't so peaceful. We found out that Joel, the main protagonist of the first game, and Tommy, Joel's brother, are out patrolling, but no one knows why they've been out for so long. We then play some random character named Abby, that we know nothing about. All we know is that she has a conversation with a man named Owen, and she wants to lure someone out of Jackson, but we don't know who yet, until shortly running away from a horde of infected. Joel and Tommy save Abby from this horde.
I like this scene right here, where it shows that Abby like was literally done right there until Joel ends up saving her.
And then shortly after, we see our main protagonist from the first game, Joel, getting killed in the most disrespectful way
Let's just get on with it.
I've ever seen in a game.
Joel's such a badass.
Abby tortures Joel and bashes his head in with a golf club. Shortly after that, Ellie experiences this and begs Abby to stop, but she doesn't. And when Joel dies, another random one of Abby's friends spits on his corpse, and they leave.
Dude, even till this day, it's such a disgusting scene, bro.
If you thought Joel was stupid for giving his name out like he did, then you're not thinking straight, because if you think about it, Joel and Tommy lived in Jackson for over 5 years, and they learned that it was okay to trust people and recruit people to live in Jackson in harmony. It was just a little unfortunate that he ran into the wrong people and that his past like caught up to him, but you can't really be mad at Joel dying just because he told them his name.
I mean, I think that's a good point you make. That's a good argument that, you know, maybe the 5 years in Jackson, you know, the stone cold, like Tommy and Joel, the 25 years of survival, you know, now that they're a little bit more settled down, they're older, and they're trying to bring people into Jackson to make a bigger community. Yeah, I'll give you that. That's a pretty great point, man. I did think about that a little bit, but at the same time, you know, I didn't like how the scene was, where we see like Joel just weirdly, very oddly, like standing like right in the middle of the room, like surrounded by this whole entire group that we have no knowledge of, and it's almost like he's like a steak, like a prime rib, and like it's like a pack of wolves around him. It just it the way it was set up seemed really odd, but yeah, I thought you had a great point there, man.
At first, I wanted Joel going out like the legend that he was, and being sacrificed to save Ellie's life, or something like that. But I soon realized that Joel wasn't a hero, and he tortured and brutally killed others too. He wasn't a hero by any means, and that's why he got what he deserved, or what came to him. And although I would have preferred him dying in a better way, you can't really say that he didn't deserve what he got. Joel was a hero to all of the players that played the game, but if you think about it realistically, he wasn't really a good guy. He did what he had to do to save people that he cared for, in this case Ellie. He was also a broken man that had lost his daughter in the first game, and he didn't want to lose another one. So I don't really blame him for his actions, because it's a cruel world where people will do what they have to in order to survive, despite their selfishness and careless ways.
I like you were saying here, that Joel wasn't a good man, and that's why he deserved what he got. But at the same time, if they were to show that, this is what he deserved, I think it should have been done in a better way. Whereas, like, the whole second half of the game, from my perspective, it was like I was watching Abby do everything that Joel did in the second part of the game. Just how Joel did it for Ellie, it seemed like Abby was doing it for Lev. Massacring the WLF, her own people, and then, she's being a traitor, and then, taking out all the Seraphites, like everyone on the island, didn't matter who it was. So I thought it was really hypocritical. So I know it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a post-apocalyptic world. So I don't really think there's no standards to be holding them to. But that's just me. I really have no problems up to this point. I think this review is really solid. So I just want to keep getting into it, though.
Ellie experiences this traumatic event. It forces her to leave Jackson in search for the people that have wronged her. Tommy tries to convince her to stay, but then learns that she can't live with this trauma and has to do something about it. Ellie is broken and knows that she doesn't have much to lose if she goes for revenge. She even leaves Tommy to get revenge for what Abby did, because it's more important to her than saving Tommy. As a player, we want to kill Abby because she had just murdered our beloved character. And as playing as Ellie, we start realizing that traits still live from Joel through Ellie, like interrogation and aggressiveness. And we kill so many people as Ellie in search of Abby until we finally run into Abby herself. But before we can finally get revenge and kill Abby, the game leaves us on a cliffhanger.
The storytelling, this is what we're getting into right here. As you know, most people that have already played this game, we get to this point in the story, Tommy's down, looks like he's going to be taken out the same way that that Joel was taken out by Abby, right? And right before this, one of my favorite characters in the game, Jesse, gets taken out for no reason, and we like pretty much never hear about him again. Like, that was a really good character that I wanted to see more of, and he just gets killed off like he's a nobody. Now we get to this point right here, and we switch over to Abby's part of the game and almost go all the way back to the beginning again. And we don't get to see what happens at this point in the game for a good, 10? Like, maybe 15 hours. We have to wait just to get back to this point. So we have to play all the way through Abby's part, all the way through her travels, all this stuff she does. It just seems like it could have been like some type of DLC. Or they could have just started with Abby to begin with, started with her at the stadium, introducing who we were, learning about her friends, learning who Owen is, learning who Mel is, learning, this team that she has around her, almost like the opposing team, opposing faction to our Jackson friends. So we get to build up this friend group. We get to have a connection with these people and then move off and travel and try to get to Jackson. That's a big problem for me with the story. I mean, most of my critiques are just layouts of the story and how the story was told. A lot of things like storyboarding, I feel like I could have taken this game, taken the pieces, rearranged them, and this game would not be sitting at a 5.5 on Metacritic user review score.
Just let him go. You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
We are put in the shoes of Abby once again, but this time in her younger self, before she even knew who Joel was. We soon find out that Abby isn't so bad after all, because she saves a zebra from almost bleeding out. And shortly after, we find out that Dr. Jerry Anderson, Abby's father, is the doctor that wanted to operate on Ellie to get a vaccine at the end of the game, to end the whole infection nightmare. But is shortly after killed by the man, Joel, that wants to save Ellie instead of creating a cure that would save humanity but kill Ellie off. We then see a flashback of Abby's point of view, where she is getting revenge because Joel killed her dad.
Building?
Abby. No!
Abby, don't look.
Dad! Dad! No! No!
Alright, so let's just say, keep it simple, simplicity. Just say this is a good story. Say we take all the same elements, everything, we're using everything the same. The scenes, the cut scenes, we're taking it all. We would have started right here. If we would have started saving the zebra, if we would have started figuring out who the doctor is, we've got Marlene in there, talking it over before the surgery for the vaccine goes down. Then we see this, dad's dead. And then, I'm not a fan of jump cuts or anything, but now that we have this pre-context, we're starting to build on it. Then we start off at the stadium, we walk through, we're at the gym, we see why Abby's so buff. Okay, we see that they got livestock, we see that they got dogs, they got animals, they got big supplies in this WLF compound pretty much. We start meeting, characters like Manny, we start meeting Mel, Owen, the list goes on. We start building the friend group. Then we travel on to Jackson. We start over there and we get to the part where we're looking over on Jackson. That is the way this should have been presented. That is the way this game should have been presented. Like, it just seems really backwards to me.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up. No! No!
So now it all makes sense. And when we are introduced to Abby, it looks like she's waking up from a nightmare that we don't really think much of, but is actually her reliving the experience she had with her dad dying. After the death of Joel, we play as his killer for 10 hours or so, And as we play as her, we slowly realize that even after killing Joel, she's still getting these nightmares of her dad dying over and over again. She revisits the St. Mary's Hospital 3 times in her dreams. First time being the actual event. Second, seeing the kids that she...
But having the game played out how it was with the original layout, not the layout I gave you, you know, we really don't care about this character at all because she was just thrown into the mix without any pre-development where we can get this type of emotional connection like we did in the first game with the original characters. That's my main beef with it. Like, I'm not coming at it from a standpoint of, look, this game is trash, this game is awful, I hate this game. I'm trying to come at this game with constructive criticism and points, main points that I feel like were overlooked or were acted on carelessly.
met getting killed. And lastly, after saving the kids, she has a dream of her dad being healthy and alive instead of lying on the floor with a pool of blood. And then realizing that it wasn't Joel that had to die for her to get closure, but it was rather to save 2 kids' lives to get the closure that she needed for her dad's death. We flash back to the cliffhanger that the game left us on, and Jesse's popped faster than the...
A brutal cliffhanger, if I have to add that, man. Like, brutal. You gotta play with this character that most of the fan base does not like for, like you said in the video, like over 10 hours. And we're stuck at this cliffhanger for I don't know how long. And the whole, my first original playthrough, I was like, I don't even care what's happening right now. I am just trying to get back to this point as soon as possible. And that's not the way I like to play games. You know, I don't like this type of story building and story development.
The speed of light. And Tommy is shot in the head as well by trying to save Ellie. We go through 10 plus minutes playing as Abby to try and kill Ellie, and all I gotta say was that it was disgusting and painful. We see Abby practically breaking Ellie's nose, but shortly after gets attacked by Dina, and after that Dina gets shot in the shoulder by Lev with an arrow, and she gets her head bashed in the ground multiple times by Abby. And as soon as I was just feeling just a little bit of affection and sorrow for Abby, she does this.
She's pregnant. Good. Abby.
This story is not a simple revenge story. It is a revenge cycle, and it has been seen in many other books, movies, games. But in this game they explore a cycle so far to the point where you aren't on anyone's side. You feel bad for both and you don't want to harm each other. So Abby makes the mature decision to end and break the cycle. She knows that if she had to kill...
Come on, you know that's not what happened. That is not what went down. She was about to kill Dina, and then she stopped because Lev told her not to. She did not save Dina to save some cycle or whatever you're saying right there. That's completely wrong. She had full intent on killing Dina right there. If Lev was not there, Dina would not have been alive. I don't feel like Dina should have been alive to begin with, but I'm just saying it's not like Abby's on some moral high ground. That's not what happened right there, bro. Like, you gotta relook that point.
Kill Dina and Ellie, the cycle would just repeat itself and never end. And that's what I find is strong in this game, and strong about Abby herself. She has experienced more losses than Ellie at this point, and she now knows that it's not worth killing someone who has just killed your friends and loved ones, but it's to understand and forgive the person because everything is justified. The game compares Ellie and Abby so much to the point where you think it's the same character. They both develop PTSD, Abby having PTSD for her dad's death and having bad dreams repeat itself over and over, and Ellie reliving the traumatic event that occurred with Joel as a father figure getting brutally murdered. They both think that if they kill the person that caused all the trauma, that it will make them forget about the event itself, but it doesn't.
Ellie? Hey.
not going to talk much about Abby, Ellie, or Joel because I've spoken a lot about them already. So I'm only going to concentrate on two characters, starting with Tommy. Tommy's character changed throughout the game so much. It starts with him convincing Ellie to stay in Jackson and telling her to let it go, to him getting shot in the side of the face and shot in the leg with an arrow and still surviving from it, to hardly having the skill to walk properly. He is broken at this point, just like Ellie was in the beginning of the game. He lost his eye, his ability to walk, and he lost his wife. But he basically forces Ellie to go after Abby let her live twice, because he can't do it himself, and he wants the revenge badly. Moving on to Owen.
I really don't think they should have done Tommy like that, honestly. Like, this game was already sad and depressing enough. Like, I really thought they should at least let one of the Millers be happy, you know? I don't think they had to take away his wife, too. Come on.
Owen was literally the only character I cared for on Abby's side, besides Abby, of course. He is the reason Tommy and Ellie were still alive, because he told his friends that if they kill them, they know better than Joel was.
Manny,
Cleaning up.
no. We're here for him. That's it.
It's too risky to leave them alive.
Too fucking bad.
He's right. We can't have loose ends.
We killed them. We're no better than he was.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, look at my face.
Fuck your face. You should have been guarding the upstairs like I told you to. Move! Back up.
Calm down.
Or what? Back the fuck up!
Calm down!
Now then! You shoot me?
Stop! We're done.
Owen basically stood up for Ellie and Tommy because they did nothing wrong. And he was literally telling Jordan to shoot him because he's not moving, and that's what I like about Owen. But we also had tons of flashbacks of Abby and Owen's love triangle, and how Owen made Mel pregnant but truly wanted to be with Abby. He even said that Abby and himself are allowed to be happy, and they can choose to be happy, and this relates to Ellie's side of the story as well, because she always has these negative thoughts, but she can choose to be happy and let everything go. Owen also tried to take Joel off Abby's mind, and he told her that she should miss training multiple times.
We're allowed to be happy.
I know.
So, yeah. I think Owen's probably one of the more redeemable characters in this game. But, I mean, at the same time, it doesn't even matter because he's just killed off. So, it's like, there was two characters out of the new game that I really enjoyed. That being Jesse and Owen. You know, like, it seemed like one for Abby, one for Ellie. And they both get killed off. So, to me, it just seems really monotonous and pointless.
All the leads have dried up. But Joel's still out there, you know? We can't miss training.
Really? Not even just for one night.
I did enjoy this. I did enjoy this scene. Like, if we would have started with more of this on the front end rather than on the back end, I think I would have had more fun playing the game. Because I would have been able to build a more emotional connection to this Abby and to Owen. So I just really wish the story was organized in a different way.
You should blow off training tonight. Abby, when the moon comes
I
out.
found Joel's brother. He's at a settlement out in Wyoming.
Abby doesn't give up. She wanted the revenge so bad, and it got her nowhere. It wasn't the closure that she needed. As I said previously, what also made Owen a strong character was that he stood up for a Seraphite that was an old man, and he saved the man by killing his own to protect someone from a group he was against. Because the person was very old and did nothing wrong.
You want to tell me what happened?
We were cleaning out a small camp. It's just a couple scars and hit this one on the hip. And
In this moment, made me realize how strong of a character Owen was. Because, like I said, he killed his own to protect an old man.
Such a strong character, so much potential. Same with Jesse, and they're just taken away from us in this game. That's why, even though people have been saying Last of Us 3, it's like, what's new? Do I really even want to see that story? Personally, for me, no, I'm kind of checked out on the whole Last of Us universe.
And that just shows me that he has heart. But one thing that showed me that Abby had heart was that she also stood up for two ex-Seraphites. Instead of letting her WLF acquaintances kill them, she stood up for them.
God damn it, he's just a kid!
You have 3 seconds to get away from that scar. 1,
You really gonna shoot me?
2.
I'm not fucking moving. No!
One thing I must say kinda annoyed me about the characters and
Hit
the
the like.
storyline in general is that it was hard to get attached to like certain characters that you knew were already dead. Or that
That is a very big problem. Great analysis, right? It is hard, very hard to be playing around characters, playing with characters that I know are deceased, because it's like, why am I doing this? It just felt like a drag, man. Now, if I was playing with the characters before, you know, I knew they were already dead, you know, I would have been able to, you know, get more invested. But that was a big problem I was having, dude. It's like, this is just pointless. And you know, it's not The Last of Us' fault. It was the writing. I feel like the writing really fell short, and compared to the first game.
Ellie killed before playing Abby's side of the story. And that was like the only issue I had, because you'd play with some character and it would be hard to get attached to them because, you know, oh no, but Ellie killed this person, so why must I care for them because they're already dead, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's it.
just the only problem I had about this
So that's the
story,
problem.
or the characters. But yeah, other than that, perfect, like 10 out of 10 for me. The game ends with the player playing as Ellie to go get that sweet revenge one more time, because Tommy got into Ellie's head. When Ellie finds Abby, Abby is captured and tied to a wooden pole. She's left there and all her muscles are gone. She's skinny and sunburned, and she has been tortured by a group calling themselves the Rattlers. At this point in the game, even if you hated Abby, this part made you feel some type of sorrow for her. But just as Ellie's about to let everything go and just leave, she gets one more PTSD moment of Joel lying dead on the floor. She then tells Abby she can't let her leave, and then threatens to take Lev's life if Abby doesn't fight her. Abby accepts the offer, and then they fight to the death. Ellie has the upper hand this time with more energy, and it's the hardest boss fight I've ever had to play in a game before.
What?
Because usually I would want to
How?
kill the main villain, you know, but this wasn't the case this time. It was two broken women fighting to the death, and no one was in the right or wrong.
Yeah, it was a pretty pathetic fight. You know, it was probably one of the lamest boss fights I've ever played. I would not play it again.
Like I said before, you don't want anyone to die. You just want them to talk it out, you know, and like just chill and let it go. But Abby bites two of Ellie's fingers off, and then Ellie drowns Abby. And as Ellie is about to kill Abby, she gets one more flashback of Joel. But this time he's not laying on the floor dead, but is rather happy, healthy, and alive. Just like Abby's dad was in her dreams. Ellie starts crying and lets go of Abby and tells her to just leave and take Lev. At first I didn't understand why she let Abby go and why she just didn't finish the job. But then I realized that if she had to kill Abby, the cycle would just continue, and she saw Lev and Abby and thought of their relationship as her and Joel. And she didn't want Lev to go through all that pain, so she just let Abby go. Ellie then arrives back at the farm that her and Dina were staying on, and notices that Dina and JJ, Dina's baby, have both left. She then finds that the guitar is still there and picks it up and plays Joel's song one last time, as it reveals to us the final flashback of what she had when she was drowning Abby. But this time, it was the full flashback. We see such a bittersweet flashback of our two favorite characters, Joel and Ellie. And Ellie tells Joel that she can never forgive him for the lie that he told in the first game. But she said that she would like to
Coming up, I think, is one of the best parts in the game. Of course it's Joel.
try.
Of course.
And it flashes back to reality, and Ellie leaves the only memory behind, which is Joel's guitar, and walks away.
Right here.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you. I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance in that moment, I would do it all over again. Let's go, Joel Miller, dog. Let's go. Yes, sir.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
Before that, Ellie's mad at Joel. She was mad at Abby, and she was mad at herself. While she was mad at Abby,
Yeah. Ellie in this game, just like pretty awful character, honestly. You know, she just was a terrible character in this game.
for torturing Joel physically, she was mad at herself for torturing Joel emotionally, screaming at him, ignoring him, and trying to hurt him the way he hurt her with the lie that he told. She's mad at herself for not forgiving Joel sooner, and sometimes in real life people don't always end on good terms. It's not like the movies where someone can say their last words and it's beautiful. Sometimes people die and you wish you could do things sooner, but you can't. Many people say that this game is about love, hate, and most importantly revenge, and I can agree that it is all of those things, except people are forgetting the main and most important message, which is forgiveness. Ellie forgives Joel for him hurting her, but she learns to move on, and Abby learns to forgive Ellie for killing all her friends, and even though they don't fully forgive each other, they learn to move on and break the cycle of violence and revenge. To me, the ending wasn't as depressing as people make it out to be. Sure, it was depressing, but it ended really hopeful. Ellie puts the
This whole game is depressing, man. Like, I don't know, I felt like on part one, you know, there was tragedy, there was loss along the way, but at least there was a journey, there was an end goal, and we knew we were heading for that goal, you know what I mean? But in this game, it just seemed really scatterbrained, and with all the jump cuts, all the flashbacks, all the flash forwards, all the PTSD, as you call it, where you have to live the memory, you know, it seemed way too jumbled. It seemed like there was one too many writers. It was like, oh, I got this idea, let's throw that in there, and then there's another one. It's like, oh, let's throw this in here too. That's a lot what it seemed like to me.
guitar down to learn to forgive and forget what Joel has done to her, and she learns that keeping the guitar is only going to remind her of the bad things they went through, and killing Abby wouldn't have solved the closure that Ellie needed. She needed to forgive Joel, and Abby and Lev were on their way to find the Fireflies and regroup, and that's why it is such a hopeful ending. I get that Ellie pretty much lost everything. She lost Jesse, Dina, JJ, Tommy, and Joel, but it just teaches you that revenge is a fool's game, and
And she's all alone. That was her biggest fear. As you remember from the first game, she told Sam, she said, My biggest fear is to be all alone, and at the end of this game, she's completely alone. That's why I think this game really is sad. I mean, yeah, sure, for Abby, she's going to go see the Fireflies. Her Fireflies are her wet dream. But for Ellie, it's pretty much just over. Like, honestly, after she put down that guitar, she probably should have just ended it right there. Just ended her own life right there. That's honestly my opinion. Like, the Ellie story is pretty much done. She should have just died in this game. Just finished the chapter. Just let Abby and Lev go off in the third game looking for the Fireflies.
Shouldn't play it. Ellie ends up alone, and as stated in the previous sequel, it's one of her biggest fears. And although it's depressing, there's still hope for Ellie forgiving Joel. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the representation and what the moth symbolized. It was the most important symbol in the game. It was on Joel's guitar. Ellie had a tattoo with a moth on it, and it was the game's loading screen. It basically symbolized the Firefly motto, which is, when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. And in the first game, it was about a man that had just lost his daughter, but then finds a little girl named Ellie, and these two bond so well throughout the game that even with the whole infection going around, it still felt very hopeful, which the second game lacks. It lacks a lot of hope and positivity, but at the end of the game, it is still hopeful, and you must.
And that's pretty much what I was touching on. I mean, like, there was still loss in the first game, but there was hope. There was looking for a goal. There was reaching the goal. There was getting closer. There was good character build-up, good development, and that's a lot of what I see lacking in the second part.
Towards the brighter things in life, just like the moth flying towards the light. The game's tragic, but hopeful at the same time. There are sad moments and there are moments that shine, especially the flashbacks. And this game has made me feel things I've never felt for a game before. I literally picked up and started playing a guitar because this game inspired me to do so. But overall, it wasn't really what I expected or what I thought it would be. But nothing's perfect, and it teaches you that it's just life, and sometimes you gotta learn to accept things. And there will be times where you fall on your knees, but you just gotta learn to get back up. And if you don't like the game, then you don't. At the end of the day, the game isn't for everyone, and everyone has their own opinions on what's right and wrong.
I do okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're welcome, kiddo.
This probably, right here, this sequence, this flashback was probably the best part of the game. In my opinion, this should have been the game right here. Like, if we would have got one more run with these two characters, I would have taken this game, part 2, over any type of Abby story any day. Because right here, the way you feel in this scene, it just, I feel like this is probably the only redeemable part of the game right here. Right here. Wow, we're at the end already. Shout out Right Vibes. I told you, brother, I wasn't gonna be bashing it. I felt like that was very very good. Like I said, I wasn't coming at this from hate. This is all love. I just wanted to do a quick review on it. I'm just doing it for you and the buddies, you and the boys. But yeah, like I said to begin with, I mean, don't hate the game. I do dislike it a little bit. But my main beefs with part 2 is the writing, the story development, lack of character buildup. These are things that were very important, and I feel like they were lacking in the game. We needed the story organized in a different way. And if the story was organized in a different way, I felt like it would be less splitting of the fan base. So if we would have had Joel's death more towards the end of the game rather than right in the first 2 hours, fans might have understood more and there would have been less hate towards this game. But otherwise, you know, I really appreciate it. If anyone ends up watching it all the way through, say the last spray in the comments, you know, we'll learn it. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna be signing off. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Just doing a quick review of it today, you know, just chopping it up on the day off. But peace.